Okay. Shall you admit them all? Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another Wisdom podcast. I'm George Picard. I'm a Sifu, and I do these because I compiled a book of wisdom quotes I've been collecting for some time. And I put them in a book because I would read them. And the interesting thing was I always liked them. I always read them. The problem was I never really understood them. They were just really cool things to read. When you start going into it, these are some of what the greatest sages and spokespeople from Buddha to Christ to um, oh my goodness, Odie, back in the Egyptian time. Then you get the modern ones, Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and so on. And then you go back to the Stoic. And anyway, started reading these books. This is the book. It's a hardcover book that I compiled. I have a few of my quotes in there. Leland was my mentor for many years. A lot of his quotes are in here. So to break it down, what we think we know about quotes and why the quotes are there and who wrote them, why did they write them? What did they mean? And that's why we're here. That's why we dissect a quote. And I'm not here to say, well, I'm going to tell you the truth about this, because I'm just here to debate. I'm just here to read something and give you ideas to think in a different dimension, if you will, because maybe there's something in here for us. And I think there is. For example, tonight's quote, this is a good one. I got this from, they're all good, but I got this from Leland. And there it is. Nope, that's not the one. Here it is. I like this one too. It's my body is my vehicle for my awareness to experience in a very brief way this reality. Wow, that sounds kind of cool. By the way, the body, who is the body? Are you the body? Don't think so. What is the body? So I said that my body. What do I mean by mine? So who's the me that owns me or controls this body? I have to say it's the spiritual side of me, the awareness, the consciousness side of me. And consciousness is expressing itself and learning through the body, through the five senses. It's learning about love, hate, anger, and many different emotions. So we're on this earth for, who knows, anywhere between 0 and 100 years, sometimes more. What is the point? So we come to this earth, and we're either going to be a man or a woman. Why this one or why a man, why a woman? And we're going to live in a certain place. Well, my goodness, don't you realize that we won the lottery? There must be a lottery out there, because we got to live in Canada or the United States, where we have medicine, the finest medicine. We have money, we have jobs, we live in homes, we have food, we have lots to eat. And that's the general population. Even somebody who lives on the street is far greater off than somebody living in a garbage dump in India. So how did you win? How did they end up on a garbage dump in India? And that's it? That's their total length of their life? That's their total experience? How would that make sense? And why are you here having this marvelous experience? And some people have experiences because they become millionaires or billionaires, fly all over the world, have their own airplanes. How's that fair they get to do that? Why not you? Why not me? What is the point? We come to this earth. We are born. And again, even at that point, there's some of us that are not born. We may be aborted. And we become children. We're walking. And we may have an accident and we may die at that time. What was the total point of my life? Is that the only life there is? And what did I learn? Even if you live 100 years, what did you learn? So I did this, and I went to high school, and I went to college, or I didn't. And then I founded this business that I made great success. I found a woman I love, and I got married. Or you didn't get married, or you've had several. Why did that happen to you? Why doesn't that happen to everybody? And we can blame the way we think. Who developed the way we think? And how did we learn what we think we know? We just didn't pick up a book one day and memorize it and say, that's our life. Because everybody else have a different perception or concept of what life is like. Why do you think we have two sides or more to anything? Why do we think we have this group of people that think this is so wrong and this group of people think that it's so right? How can they both be right? So we're living this life, is my point, through all these years. So we're born, we go to school, we learn, we grow up, we may go to high school or college, we get married, we have children. Then we get older and have grandchildren, perhaps, and then we get older again, great-grandchildren. And then we're in our 80s, maybe our 90s, and then we die. What's the point? Everything that you own belongs to somebody else. You own nothing. You're only a temporary custodian. And you can choose what you're going to do with it. You got money, you can spend it. Oh, you want to keep it, and you want to save it. Then all of a sudden we're dead and it belongs to somebody else. And the people take our prized possessions, maybe our trophies and our awards and all these things. And then what am I going to do with these? My kids don't care. Their kids are going to forget about you. And you're just a distant memory, if that at all, after a few decades. So what was your point for being here? Do you have one? And now we come down, where did we come from? I asked this to a Christian friend. He said, where did we come from? Did we come from God? Well, yes. Okay, so we came from God. We're coming here. We're having this experience, and then we go back. And we spend our life trying to get back to heaven, trying to get back to God. And then if we die early, if we're a child and we die, and that's the total sum of our experience, we're dead. So as we're going by all this information about this body, this finite body with an infinite spirit attached to it, we have to have a point. So it's our consciousness or our awareness learning through this body, this vehicle. This is our temporary vehicle. So we can move. We can interact with people. We can fall in love. We can experience heartbreak. We can experience sadness to extremes. We can experience terrible things that are happening in other parts of the world. So we're an avatar for our awareness or our consciousness. And through that, the consciousness learns. It learns about itself. So we're a man. We grew up, we're a good man. The consciousness experiences this. Another life, we might be a bad man. Now, obviously, here's the option of reincarnation. Is it real? Is it not? There's some evidence to it. It's not scientific per se, but some of it may be. So is that it? Did we learn? So the spirit has to keep learning. So he learns about love. Now, another lifetime, he may learn about hate, or in the same lifetime, or may learn about compassion. He may learn about all these different things. He may learn what it's like to be a woman. He may learn what it's like to be a man and the differences in between and all the things and emotions and so on. And it learns through the five senses. And the spirit can't feel pain, doesn't feel pain. The physical body does, but experiences what we go through. Make sense? So it's just a vehicle so we can be on this planet and we can learn, so we can evolve. Otherwise, there's absolutely no point whatsoever for us to be here. Being born, live a life, and die, and that's it. Anyway, that's how I see it. If anybody else has another opinion, by all means, express it. And perhaps we could even debate it. Anyone out there? Okay, then I'm just going to keep on talking. Now, if you go to the other, not just religions, but the other wisdoms out there, could be Buddha. Buddhism was never a religion, by the way. It was all about Buddha mind, the thought, and so on, evolution. But nonetheless, I get this: the Vedanta, Buddhism, Taoism. The true self is the observer, awareness itself, while the body is a means through which we interact with the world. That's it. We're interacting, and as we interact, we learn, or don't. Because if we don't learn, we get to repeat it. That's the interesting thing. Everything happens for a reason and purpose to serve us. And what happens every time we have oh man, why does this always happen to me? Well, maybe you want to take a look at that. What pattern are you running? And why are you running that pattern? Other people aren't. Other people are. But where did you get your pattern from? From birth. How do you know how to exist in this world? How do you know how you're supposed to behave within the society? You can't just pick that up on your own. You have to be taught. Now, who's teaching you? Well, your authority figures. And priests, ministers, rabbis are big people in your life that actually have some authority. Then you've got your parents. Then you've got your school teachers and so on, whatever. They're your teacher. They got to tell you what is. They tell you what's real and what's not real. They tell you what's good and what's bad. And it's all based on their perspective, on their understanding. And their understanding, by golly, is going to be your understanding. And that's just the way it is. So if you had, some parents want to be tough love on us. Well, what's that mean? Well, they could say, George, you didn't pass your exam this time. Or you passed, to be honest, you didn't pass your exam, only 50%. What are you doing? George, how come you didn't finish your homework? George, how come you didn't do this? Why didn't you get 60%? You only got 50. Why didn't you be like your sister? She got 75% and you only got 50. Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like? So you get reduced to this. So the patterning goes on is, you're not really worth a whole lot. You're not really good enough. So you carry these patterns through. What happens? The patterns have to manifest themselves over and over again until you get the lesson. Isn't that fascinating? So you say, why is this happening to me? I've got this pattern. Every time this happens, every time I start to make money, I sabotage myself and I go down. And I do it again and it's go down. Pattern, do it again, it's go down. And then finally you say, enough is enough. What's going on? Then when you understand the pattern, you can change it. And as you change it, things change for you. And we're taught to think and look in a different way. And it's in that mind, in that body, that you go out and you react like this with everybody else. And then you have different results. And what about the sadness? Why do we have to experience sadness in our life? What's the point of that? Loss, love, abuse, anger. And it goes on and on and on. Then you love animals, you see somebody abusing an animal. And happened to me, living up north, in a little town called Huntsville, out on a lake, with my family at the time. And a neighbor had this beautiful, beautiful golden lab. And the golden lab came to my place and he loved me. So I'd pet it and I'd do it. The owner didn't. Every now and again, if I go grocery shop, I'd pick up a bone, from the butcher, give it to the dog. And we became quite attached. But at night, he'd have to go to see the owner. Well, the owner would have to come up, phone me, says, is Mandy there? Yes, she's outside. Hold her there for me. I'm coming up. Then he'd come up, he'd slap a collar on her, and kick her, smack her, yell at her, and take her home. Not very nice. And then he would come out, it would hide under, the dog would hide under the cottage house at the time. It would hide underneath there. And he wouldn't come out. And he'd say to me, George, can you call Mandy out? So I'd say, Mandy, and she would call it out here, and he'd slap the collar on, same thing. It's very painful for me to watch because it was such a beautiful dog. And he would hear my car coming down the road, and he'd start running towards the car like crazy. Then he'd get to the car and he'd run back, and I sit back. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. So why did I have to experience that? Why did the dog have to experience that? Why did the owner have to experience that? All from different angles. In the same situation, the exact same thing happened, and different people have different perceptions. That's what it's like around the world. You got a war here. Some people say, that's terrible. They're being hit by this enemy. The other says, geez, this is good that they're doing this. These people are really bad. So how do you know? So for me, I just forget about that experience, and I just have my own experience. It's built through awareness. I mean, we have such a hard time being aware of anything, even our life. Yeah, the big points we get. When was the last time you looked at the artwork that's on your wall, the pictures? Do you even remember that they're there? You just go right by them. When you first put them up, you kind of looked at them every now and again. Now they're just a blur. You don't even see them. Why is that? Well, how are we aware of moment to moment to moment? That's why the only thing is the moment. Remember the very first podcast, Ichigo Ichie. Ichigo Ichie means every time is the first time, every time is the only time. It's the eternal moment. And then the second part of that is know the moment. So we go out, there's other quotes in the book say the same thing. If you don't find enlightenment where you are, where would you look? That's kind of a cool quote. Always wait for something else healthy can happen that can change it. And it doesn't always come. Then some people just wait to die. They're suffering. They just want to die. What is the point of suffering? Yeah, it's essential. It's all part of our experience. So the whole idea is when we start becoming aware of our experiences, aware of who we truly are, and this is not who we truly are. We are not the body. It's very finite. It has a limited resource, and then we're gone. Oh, we're gone? Where do we go? Well, there's a question from many different religions and philosophies. They all have similar things, but from a different point of view. And is there one right one? Well, everybody depends what group you're with. They all think they're the right one. And they might all have a piece of it because there's a lot of similarities that's in there. No, but don't want to be right. Why be right? Let's see if I can remember this poem. Like this. Here lies the body of Michael Day, who failed to yield his right of way. His will was strong. His choice was just. So his choice was just, his will was strong. But he's just as dead as if he was wrong. I don't know how that popped in. That was supposed to be part of this, but just popped into my head. I thought I'd share. Anyway, so where do we go? Where do we come from? If the universe is absolutely infinite, which now they believe it is, but now they're proving that even the galaxies have a consciousness. The entire universe has a consciousness. It's not just us. So where is this quantum field that connects everything? You know, what did Einstein call it? Spooky entanglement. So everything's entangled. In other words, everything's connected to everything else. And what is our point here? I mean, if you look at us from space, we're minute. We're about the size of an atom. And you should never trust an atom because they make everything up, just so you know. Anyway, the whole point is this is my body, for my vehicle, for my experience, for as long as I'm here, for the very short period of time. So if you can turn around, if you took a pen and a book full of blank paper and started to type, and what you say, okay, what did I accomplish in my lifetime? What did I learn in my lifetime? So it's got nothing to do with degrees or college and PhDs and such. Did you learn to love better? Did you learn to care for somebody better? Did you learn not to judge? Did you learn to be aware? Did you learn how to help? Did you learn how to pray? Did you learn how to be part of society? Where can you fit in? How can you help? To be part of this whole thing. How did you care for others? Where was your compassion? Were you compassionate? Why were you compassionate? Why does that even matter? Because if it doesn't matter, if it's just the body's going to be gone. It'll be buried. It's going to be burnt. And what was the point? The point is that the you that you truly are, not this, the you that you truly are, is the point. That's the spiritual aspect of who you truly are. That's what's got to learn, and you can only learn through you, because you can't feel, it can't touch, it can't see, it can't feel pain. That's your point. That's the vehicle part. As you're going around, as George in this particular scenario, or Sally in a different scenario, we're all going through these little things throughout our life. We are the avatars. We're the eyes, the ears, the taste, the smell, and the touch of the spirit. Think of it that way. And sometimes you ever find that sometimes it seems to be manipulating us in a way. Just thought of this. That all of a sudden you find all these coincidences. Well, gee, how did I meet that person? What an odd way. Just met on a corner outside a restaurant, bumped into each other, had a conversation. Well, we just hit it right off. Was that, you might think that was manipulated a little bit. I don't know. I don't know all these things. These are just questions, but they're questions to think about. That's the point. The whole point of this is to think. That's why there's wisdom quotes. They make you think. And maybe through thinking, you learn. Now, I don't know about you, but I've learned a lot of things throughout my life. And I learned later on that they were wrong. I learned what I feel was right then. Maybe that's our point of being here. So there you have it. So we read that quote again. My body is my vehicle for my awareness. For a very short time. Oh, let me get that. I want to make sure I got it right. There it is. My body. Who's the my? Interesting point. My vehicle. Who is the my, or who is the owner of this? For my awareness. Who's the my? Again, to experience in a very brief way this reality. But it doesn't go on to say for the purpose. That's up for you to decide. And that's why we have these things, so you can have this experience and talks like this, and maybe we'll uncover something. That's the point of it. Yeah, we can't go through life with blinders on. We have to ask sometimes why. So that'd be my podcast for today, unless anybody has a question or a comment or whatever you'd like to add to it. Does it make sense to you? Well, I hope you got something from this particular quote. And as you think about it more and more, I know you can have this, on YouTube tomorrow. This is live. Then we put it on YouTube, and then you can take notes if you want. Say, let's write that thing down and let me think about that quote. Oh, you're welcome, Julie. And yes. Okay, so, or you can get this hard copy book of the postures. And I printed a couple hundred. That's it. So I wanted the hard copy. They're expensive to print, but nonetheless, over time, somebody will get them. And besides which, by the time I'm gone, these are not going to matter to me. They're only going to matter to people who have them. And when they're gone, this isn't going to matter to anybody else either. That's just how it goes. Temporary custodian. It's kind of sad when you think about it. That's why you should spend your money while you can. Enjoy it, because somebody else sure as well when it's your time. All right, everybody. So I'm going to leave it at that. Please like, subscribe, put a comment. Comments are great, and it helps a lot of people.
Thank you, George.
Oh, James, good. Yes, you are here. It's always wonderful to have you on. And Cheryl Robertson, thank you. And of course, Jim Purdue, my buddy, Scotty Rogers. Let's see. Oh, and Julie. Thanks, everybody. So, good day, good night. If I told you much, I love you today. And always remember peace, love, gratitude, joy. Forgive, forget, let go. Good things to live by. Take care, everybody.
George,
Yes.
before you go, I just
Yep.
want to thank you for the podcast. They're very good information and something to think about.
That's all.
That I deal from my takeaway from my native is that
Huh?
why do we as people think we're any more special than the animals and the trees on this planet?
There you go. They're there for a reason. Who put them there? Great Spirit, God. And they've changed. 95% of them are gone. The species are just disappeared. So why are they here? That's another why, and it's the whys that are interesting. But wisdom always helps us move along. It makes us think, and out of that thinking comes something that could be greater than what we ever imagined before. So thanks, Jim. You take care of yourself. Everybody tell somebody you love them today. Take care. Bye-bye.